Hello everyone, I'm Kamau Mbogwan, your host on Education Matters on Radio TV, where we watch and learn. This morning, I'm privileged to have on my show a guest by the name Brother John Nganga. Brother John Nganga is another motivational speaker, consultant in management, and so many things. Mr. Nganga, most welcome to my show.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Please tell us more about yourself, Mr. Nganga, the human being.
There are many ways of describing John Nganga. Some people say, I would rather say I'm a middleman. Some people call me an old man, but I would rather say I'm not very old. An old man from Nyandarua. I come from a village called Javine. I went to primary school in a school called Sasumwa Primary School, where the Nairobi water comes from. It comes from a place called Sasumwa Dam, and my primary school was called Sasumwa. So that's one way of looking at me, as somebody from a village called Javine, and went to school in Sasumwa Primary School. Another way of looking at me is to see me, some people see me as Nganga the trainer. Because I'm very involved.
That's a human being.
Yes. But then in that way, they are not seeing the real Nganga. They are seeing what they have seen. They have seen me training people in all industry, in management, in those areas. But the real John Nganga is a Christian, born again, who wants to do the will of God, and whose calling is to assist God's people to realize their potential.
Thank you very much. You are on education matters, and in this program we discuss matters to do with curriculum reform, digital literacy, and so on and so forth. So I will be calling upon you to guide us a little bit on what is your experience about education and so on. And let us start here. Can you give a commentary about the education system? And again, when I look at your CV, I know you've interacted so much in secondary schools. Give us a snapshot of what you think about the education system in Kenya.
I happen to be the chief advisor of a body called Kenya Student Christian Fellowship that is interested in developing values in high school. I'm also in the advisory council of a body called Focus, Fellowship of Christian Unions, that is interested in developing values of university students. One of the weaknesses of our Kenyan education system is the lack of development of values. And yet, if you are going to be a useful engineer, you only be useful because you value the people that will use your engineering service. If you are lacking in it, you can build a road where there will be many accidents because you're looking at where to cut costs. But you are not afraid that if you cut costs too much, you could end up killing people. So you need, one of the weaknesses of our education system is developing human doings who are not human beings.
Wow. You're talking about the element of values.
Yes.
Would you therefore connect, I would want to hear you compare the education system that you have in Kenya globally in terms of what's happening. I know you are well exposed, and its products, the people coming out of the education system at all levels, the secondary school level, the university level, and so on.
I must say that one thing that is certain, when I talk to people, I was talking to somebody in South Africa, talking to somebody else in West Africa, Kenyans who have gone through Kenyan education system are shining everywhere they go.
Yes.
Whether they go to universities in Britain or go to universities in America, our basic problem is not intellectual development. We seem to do well wherever we go. Just talk maybe to Equity with all these scholars they are sending to the best university over the world. You've never heard of any one of them who was unable to cope. We are doing okay. With all the weaknesses of 844, we seem to produce intellectuals. That's why, to me, we compare quite well worldwide on terms of producing people intellectually.
So in other words, you're saying we are not inadequate as far as cognitive powers are concerned.
No.
Then why?
Because you see, if you had a problem with the education system, what will happen is that somebody will get a name in Kenya, in a Kenyan high school, end up in Britain, and they can't cope with the academic work because they are not prepared well enough to be able to compete in Oxford. Now we don't have that problem.
Now, because in that case, then you're saying we are okay cognitively. We are
Yes,
scoring on the high school. We are going to have fun and all those.
There are things we need to change, even there. But if its preparation is okay, one of the weaknesses of the education system is an overemphasis on science. Everybody else you talk to, other than me, is likely to say this country, because we want technology, let's go to science.
Let's focus on STEM. Science, technology, engineering.
Yes. And I keep saying 3 reasons why that's not a good message. It's number one, God created us in a balanced way. Some of us are interested in human issues, others in technology issues, others in social issues. Our interests and callings are different.
How do we strike the balance? Because I tend to think this person who comes with an emphasis on STEM says we are producing more on one side, the social sciences, so to speak. Where do you strike?
You see, the first thing is offer everything available and that is required by society. Let those who want to do music be told it's available. Let those who want to do sociology be told that the engineering, the science, all of it is available. And let everybody know they all matter. That way, you will not have people who are called to science ending up doing drama.
Does it not appear like when it comes now to who is better than either the scientist or the social scientist, for that matter, the physical scientist and the social scientist?
Yeah.
Does it appear like we have a seasonal thing? One time we are preaching this gospel, the other time we are preaching the other gospel.
That's why I told you our problem is if you take physics, we have physics teachers. But how do we make choices? That's where the big difficulty is. We don't have proper counseling of the young people about what it means to have a calling and why every calling is okay. You should not try to be who you are not.
Who you are not called to be.
Yes, because when you become a scientist and the average somebody with an let's say IQ can do science or art. The only trouble when you become a doctor and that's not your calling, you stay in the theater for 2-3 hours. By the 3rd hour, you feel like taking corners. And you'll kill human beings. There's somebody else equally gifted and who can do medicine, but that is their calling. They enjoy helping the people. That's why you don't want to encourage people to go to medicine, whose calling is not in medicine. But I also see your point. You can again forget to emphasize science, and you end up with social scientists. And what will happen is, we will not be able to have even a program.
We are reporting doctors.
Yes, we are. So what I'm after is a balanced thing. I believe in every 10 people. If you truly explain the various callings, interest will not be the same. People have different interests.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to hear because in other ones you're saying you're putting a stamp of confidence in your system.
Yes.
But you're saying you need to tweak a few things here.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you very much. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we try to look at the connection between our education system and this alleged problem of joblessness in Kenya. Thank you very much. Don't go away, everyone. Keep watching. Watch and learn. Welcome back. This is Education Matters. I'm your talk show host, Mr. Kamambogwa. With me on the studio is John Nganga, who has just laid the foundation. We stopped at the connection between education and joblessness in Kenya. We have agreed that we are doing a good job, but we need to do a few changes. Please let me know what's the scenario, what is the situation outside there?
If you are looking at our country and other countries vis-a-vis education and employability, I must say that we have a lot of unemployment in Kenya. but also what we call structural unemployment, which has sprung from values and guidance and counseling. We develop people through primary to high school to university with the impression that a good job is a white collar job. Nobody wants a blue collar. In the process, there may be blue collar jobs, but we can't do them because we are told ukisoma vizuri utapata kazi. If you read well, you're no longer nzuri sana. So you'll not work in the garden. Your parents say, if you don't work hard in school, you'll start farming like me. You grow up knowing to farm is failure.
But now even just who is failing who in that case? Is it the parent failing the student or the student failing the parent? Or?
Now you see, that's why I'm challenging it. I'm saying part of our joblessness has to do with our education system, where there was nothing wrong with teaching somebody physics, but needed to help you to see after doing physics, there are many things you can do. You can start your own technology company, you can self-employ yourself, you can be employed, and you can go into farming.
Now,
and the fact that you know science, you can actually use it better. You'll be a better farmer than your mother. But because that information was lacking from parents, then the teacher should have known when they call a parents' meeting, they want the parents to tell their children how dangerous it is to fail, because if they fail, they'll become farmers. So now the teachers and the parents are gathered up together to mislead the child.
Now, stop at that point. If the parents and the teachers, who will be defined as the influencers and the implementers, if they're misleading the child, and now we're talking about the product has come, the report is coming back, our products, our students are not being employed. Are we not in a mess? Because I don't think even that message has stopped. We still have the same message where we say everybody must go to university and get a degree.
You know, we need the problem, but before I blame the parents, now you must go talk to somebody like my mother, who never went to school, even from the wrong side of the classroom. Surely, to expect my mother to understand what I'm doing in school. Maybe when I was in Nazareth, she understood. Beyond that, when I did my KPE, nowadays it was called KPE, she could tell me which school is good or bad, what I should do. So it is the teacher who should help me, because the teacher has gone through the system. So although I'm blaming the parent, it is part of it may be ignorance. So the teacher needed to have a meeting with the parents, and they both agree. Every job matters.
Okay, let's tweak it a little bit. Let's ask ourselves, if we are we're talking of structural unemployment, it means that we have created too much of what the market does not need.
Yes.
Alright? What do we do with those ones who have already left the system and they are around here? By the way, they have left the rural centers, they are living in Ghana, they are living here and there, squatting, but they are holding their very clean CVs. What do we do with them?
I'm very grateful that Elimu has come to their aid. In the sense that I believe somebody is listening to us, and you have already finished school. You feel the only way of working is to get a white collar job. Yet you are creative enough. If you are to go to Nyandarua or to South Nyanza and hire 1 acre of land, borrow some money, hire 1 acre of land. Being a Form 4 graduate or a university graduate, you can write a business case to use 1 acre of land, produce enough to pay you at a higher salary than an employed job.
Are you suggesting that those ones who are already in the countryside should not become to the city?
In other words, ask yourself, now that I'm not the same education level as my mother, these are the resources I have, 1 acre of land. What can I do that the customers require? Because the trouble with a lot of farming, you just farm because it's farm. You farm guache because that's what people farm there. With an educated person, you do not produce for people to buy. You find out what they need, then you produce what they need. So you are assured of the market. So you are able to pay back whoever gave you the money to lease the land. You are able to pay him back. You can't expect, as my mother who is uneducated, to be a that
way. Are we not by so doing tasking the same person you're saying is jobless with saving himself out of the institution?
Yes,
what is the role?
You have got me correct.
Right. What is the role of the government in terms of creating formal employment? When I am not ruling out the element of the informal creative industry, what about the role of government in creating formal employment?
But before I go to the government, I still wanted to say, if you give proper guidance and counseling to the students, whether they leave start 8, and here there are very few people who leave start 8. Our transition from primary to high school has gone, I don't know, almost to 80%. That means for every 8 children, for every 10 children, 8 will go to high school. So most of our joblessness now is no longer in primary, it is in high school. Now, so we have high school people and we have university people. Now, if you prepare them correctly, 2 things first of all. Not all of us are supposed to be employed. Some of us are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are not people who get a diploma in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs are people who are creative and risk takers. And that's not something you can teach somebody. They are born with a desire to do something creative. To meet the customer's requirements through creativity. Yes. Whether you're from 4 or graduate, you will come out a degree in engineering and you'll ask yourself, what can I do with my engineering job? You don't want to be employed. Now, 2 things will happen. When you have maybe even 10% of the class becoming entrepreneurs, every entrepreneur will employ 2 others. You will have created for 30% of the people who end up with the jobs. Because 10% employ the other 20%.
Now, good. Point on that one. I think we have to explore this one further. And we have already started with on the side of the demand side.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll continue from there. And we also want to touch on the role of the government in creating or doing its part. Viewer, we'll have to take a break. When we come back, we'll look at the role of government in enhancing employability and creating jobs in the formal sector. Thank you. Welcome back. This is Education Matters, where we're talking about education and employability in Kenya. My guest, Brother John Nganga, is really guiding us. Brother Nganga, you have mentioned that the education system, we are doing fine, but we may need to do a little bit of reform. When it comes to employability, you're saying we should de-emphasize the white collar. We should accept the blue collar jobs. I wanted the black collar jobs, and what needs to be done. Maybe we finish up on what this person who has just come out of school needs to do, and then we switch the gears immediately after that. We look at the role of the government, what we call the supply side. Let's address the demand side. These guys who are looking for jobs, these guys who are clearing the secondary school, the university, and they are preparing to enter the job market. What do you have to say in closing the market? 3
things. Number 1, discover your life's purpose. By the time you are 18, you are an adult. You should sense in which area of need in mankind was I born to solve. Every human being is a problem solver. The only question is, which problem are you solving? That's what we call calling.
That's number 1. Number 2.
Number 2, once you have sorted out the first one, you must hate being idle. So, even without a job, find out what you can volunteer to do. Because it's during the volunteering within your area of calling is what will help you to see whether you really are called into that area. Number 2, you are gaining experience. That animal employers exposure and experience. Because now once you write, as somebody who is in the 3 months after Form 4 has been doing something, volunteering in a church, in an NGO, in his village. The CV has improved. He has gained skills, although he was never paid. So you must hate being idle.
Get active.
Get active one way or the other. It will help you to prepare for your future.
Yes.
Thirdly and importantly, find out with the resources you have, are you called to be an entrepreneur? Begin in a small way within that area. And then on that basis, find out the training you need to go to in order to improve in that area.
Now,
and it doesn't have to be university.
Yes.
It can be a 3 months course. It can be a 2 years TVET type of diploma. Do not start thinking you must go to university. University are for certain callings. Like you can't be a doctor unless you go to university. But you can be a clinic officer. There are many things you can do without going to university.
When you bring in the element of training, are you not taking us back to the loop again? Because we say one of the problems we have is this tendency to fixate on certificates, wrong CVs, but we have almost very low offering to the community, the market.
Remember, if you have done the first thing I talked about, you will not be going to a training to get a certificate. You are going to a training to improve your skills. You already have committed yourself to it. Like if you feel your problem solving is in the area of supplying health services in a health center in a rural village, you feel that's your calling. The basic, the lowest level of medicine, that's what you feel called. Now if that's what you are called, you will be going into MTC or whatever, but with a very clear mind.
Thank you. Now let's look at the other side, the supply side,
yes,
the government side. How soon are we going to have a situation where we have a steady creation of formal jobs? I'm talking about thinking of industrialization, manufacturing, all that. Considering again that we have this other challenge of, if I look at the supermarkets, the things that we are consuming, I would want to say, I haven't done any research, but I would want to say, I think maybe 10%. What is in the supermarket is the one which is coming from local. Most of it is coming from outside.
Okay, 3 things on the supply side. Number 1, we need a government that is on a continuous basis facilitates job creation. The government will create some jobs, but the work of government is not to create jobs, it's to facilitate the creation of jobs. For example, the recent management of interest rates, I'm not calling it drop, but management.
The capping of interest rates.
Yeah, and it's not capping, they are still leaving it free because the central bank would depend on the market forces in order to set its rate. Then automatically the other 2 rates are going to set themselves. But as long as the central bank is assessing the climate correctly, then the interest rates will not necessarily drop. They can go up depending on the market forces. Now,
so it's management, not control.
Yeah, it's management of interest rates. Now, if that happens, I just read yesterday, KCB, another bank, wrote the amount of money, I think they say within that period since it was announced, they have issued more than 6 billion shillings worth of loans. If those loans are put to good use, then we are creating employment. And the government is not creating employment, they are creating facilitation.
They are enabling the job creators to do their work.
Yeah, the guy that was employing 2 people, once he has got money, he's not going to employ 10.
Okay, that's one thing.
That's one. So that's the first thing we're talking about. The government creating, facilitating people, businesses, private businesses to be able to work. And facilitating is not just by interest rates. The same thing with, for example, the creation of roads.
The building of so many.
These people who are talking about that are going to do 1 acre in Homa Bay or somewhere.
Yes.
If there is a clear tarmac road, or there is also an airstrip where the agricultural products can be picked, they will no longer just do 1 acre. They will be able to do 3 acres and they will employ people because you have created communication system, transport systems that's going to do that. Thirdly and importantly, which is very, very important on the other side of job creation, is restructuring our TVET type of training to make it accessible and to make it more applicable to the needs in the market. That means you don't have a course that was designed 100 years ago being the one being offered today. You must ask yourself, what are the things happening in the market? And then, since we have already suggested this person must be clear about his calling, you can even create a course. People can demand a course. And TVET colleges, level college, must tailor them with a lot of skills that you are preparing people for, rather than giving them an extra certificate. So that by the time you move out, you can be a job creator rather than a job seeker.
Good. Wow, that's interesting. Now you are a consultant by the name Taruma Consultant.
Yes.
As in the dying moments of this program, I'm going to hear more about that consultancy that you do, and also I'm sure our viewer may want to engage you. So maybe you can let us know what do you do at Taruma Consultants. Again, does it have anything to do with job creation? Do you have openings? Maybe people can start requesting you for jobs.
Now, three things. Taruma Consultants, which is a consultants I registered after I stopped formal employment. You can get a lot of details about us in our website. The website goes by my name, johnganga.org. johnganga, one name, .org. You'll be able to get a lot of information. And there are three things we do. All of them related with my passion and calling, assisting people to realize their potential. Number one, we coach people. We help you to discover your calling. And that's an area I would like to continue as I deal with young people. Because you see, if you're in the wrong thing, you may be earning money, but you're frustrated. So that's one thing we do. Number two is training. Training you to do better, especially in the soft skills, in the areas of how can you be a better engineer? How can you, and you already know engineering, but how can you perform better?
How can you increase your productivity?
Yes, I call it performance management. I will assist people to prepare a balanced scorecard for the organization, be able to measure their performance and how it is going, in order to increase productivity of the whole organization and of the particular individual.
What does Taruma have to do for the complete greenhouse? This guy who just completed university the other day and he's seeking to enter the Taruma.
That's the one I said, my job is to assist you to discover your calling.
Yes. Okay.
If you are straight, I will discover it. And I'll tell you, no, don't look for a job. Your calling is clearly in job creation. You should be an entrepreneur. And then we'll discuss, now that I have no capital, how can I start? And I'm not the one with the answer. I will assist you to discover your answers. Taruma is not to give you jobs, and it's not to give you money, it's to assist you to discover what you can do.
Very good.
Yes.
Before we go here, please give the viewer your number. They may need to.
Yeah. If you want to reach me, go to my website and you can email me. My email is john@johnganga.org. My telephone is 0722 512 307. If you want us to engage, I think it will be a good idea since we have limited time in the studio.
Repeat the number again, please.
0722 512 307. My website is www.johnganga.org. My email is john@johnganga.org.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana.
I am sure you'll be a blessing to our viewer.
Amen.
And I'm happy that you were able to grace my show.
Thank you.
Surely, viewer, you'll agree with me that we had a resourceful person. I didn't mention to you that he's also a blogger. I'm sure we'll be inviting him back for more. This is Education Matters on Marimo TV. Watch and learn.